The conference room at the resort buzzed with excitement as Uncle Gerald stood at the head table, a projector displaying a world map behind him. 42 family members had gathered for the annual Caldwell family reunion, their champagne glasses raised, their expectations soaring. I sat in the back row beside my younger brother Marcus, watching Uncle Gerald gesture enthusiastically at the screen. Red dots marked properties across 5 continents. The villa in Tuscany, the beachfront house in Malibu, the cabin in Aspen, the penthouse in Singapore, the chateau in the French countryside. As the eldest Caldwell, Uncle Gerald began, his voice booming with authority, "It's my responsibility to ensure our family's assets are distributed fairly among the next generation." My cousin Vanessa leaned forward, her eyes glittering. Beside her, cousin Blake was already on his phone, probably researching property values. "These vacation properties," Uncle Gerald continued, clicking through slides showing each location, "have been in our family for decades. And now it's time to officially designate owners for each property." He pulled out a stack of documents, fanning them across the table like playing cards. "I've taken the liberty of drafting ownership papers. Each cousin over 25 gets a property based on their contributions to the family name and their ability to maintain these estates properly." Aunt Patricia dabbed at her eyes. "Gerald, this is so generous." "Vanessa," Uncle Gerald announced, "you'll receive the Tuscany villa. You've always appreciated European culture, and your interior design business makes you perfect for maintaining its aesthetic." Vanessa squealed, hugging her husband. "We can finally host that wine-tasting event we've been planning." "Blake, you get the Malibu beach house. Your entertainment industry connections will put it to good use." "Sophia gets the Singapore penthouse. Her finance career suits the location." "Derek takes the Aspen cabin for family ski trips." Cousin after cousin was called, each receiving a property designation. Uncle Gerald handed out the documents he'd prepared, complete with fake notary stamps and official-looking seals. I noticed my name hadn't been mentioned. Neither had Marcus's. "What about Riley and Marcus?" Marcus asked, his voice uncertain. The room went quiet. Uncle Gerald's expression turned sympathetic in a way that wasn't sympathetic at all. "Marcus, Riley, you're both still establishing yourselves. Riley works from home doing tech consulting or something, and Marcus is still in graduate school. These properties require financial stability, social standing, the ability to host and entertain. Perhaps in a few years when you're more settled." "Riley barely leaves her apartment," Vanessa added with a laugh. "Can you imagine her maintaining a villa in Italy? She'd probably turn it into a server farm." The room erupted in laughter. Blake nodded sagely. "These estates need people who understand luxury, who can represent the Caldwell name properly. No offense, Riley, but you drive a 10-year-old Subaru." "I like my Subaru," I said mildly. "Of course you do, dear," Aunt Patricia said with false sweetness. "You're practical. But these properties need more than practicality. They need vision, sophistication." Uncle Gerald distributed the remaining documents. "Everyone take your papers. Review them, sign them, and we'll make this official. The Caldwell legacy continues through those who truly appreciate it." Vanessa was already FaceTiming friends, showing off her new Italian villa. Blake was calculating rental income potential. Derek was planning his first ski party. My phone buzzed. A text from Catherine Morrison, my property holdings manager. "Security is in position. Legal team has arrived at resort. Ready when you are." I stood quietly and walked to the front of the room. "Uncle Gerald, I need to interrupt." He frowned, annoyed at the disruption during his moment of glory. "Riley, we've explained. Perhaps when you're more established." "I'm quite established," I said calmly. "Which is why I've asked my legal team to join us. They should be here any moment." "Legal team." Uncle Gerald's face paled slightly. The conference room doors opened. Catherine Morrison entered first, impeccably dressed, her briefcase monogrammed with MCM Property Holdings. Behind her came 3 attorneys, James Park specializing in international property law, Maria Santos handling European estates, and David Chin who managed my Asia-Pacific portfolio. Behind them, 2 security guards in suits took positions by the doors. "What is this?" Aunt Patricia demanded. "This," Catherine said, her voice professionally cold, is a cease and desist action against Gerald Caldwell for fraudulent property claims and forged ownership documents. The room exploded into confused murmurs. James Park stepped forward, pulling out a leather portfolio. Mr. Caldwell, you've just distributed ownership papers for 7 properties. Unfortunately, none of those properties belong to you or to the Caldwell family estate. That's ridiculous, Uncle Gerald sputtered. These have been family properties for years. The villa was my father's, the beach house. Was sold in 2019, Maria Santos interrupted smoothly. Along with the Aspen cabin, the Singapore penthouse and the French chateau. All properties were purchased by MCM Holdings, a private real estate investment company. She pulled out official deeds, each bearing stamps from their respective countries. The Tuscany Villa, purchased for €2.1 million. Malibu Beach House, $4.3 million. Singapore Penthouse, $3.8 million. All transactions completed between 2019 and 2022. Vanessa had gone white. Who is MCM Holdings? That would be me, I said quietly. Morrison Caldwell Matthews Holdings. My company. You could have heard a pin drop. That's impossible, Blake said, his voice weak. Riley doesn't have that kind of money. Actually, David Chin said, pulling out financial documents, Ms. Caldwell is a senior consultant for Cybersecure Global. Her annual compensation exceeds $450,000. Not including her equity stakes in 3 tech startups she founded. Her personal net worth is approximately $18 million. Marcus was staring at me with his mouth open. 18 million? The Caldwell family properties, Catherine continued, went into foreclosure in 2019 when the family trust collapsed due to Gerald Caldwell's mismanagement. Rather than let them be auctioned, Riley purchased all 7 properties through her holdings company. Uncle Gerald had sunk into a chair. You never said anything. You never asked, I said. When the properties went into foreclosure, you told the family they were temporarily unavailable due to legal complications. You never admitted you'd lost them through bad investments. I was trying to protect the family reputation, he whispered. By creating fake ownership documents? James Park held up the papers Uncle Gerald had distributed. These are forgeries. Fraudulent notary stamps, false legal language. This is a criminal offense. Vanessa dropped her phone. We can't use the villa? You never could, I said. It's been mine for 5 years. You've been staying there as my guest, paying nothing while I covered all expenses, taxes and maintenance. All of you have. The realization rippled through the room. Every cousin who'd vacationed in family properties over the past 5 years had actually been staying in my houses on my dime. Why did you let us? Sophia asked, her voice small. Because you're family, I said simply. I bought the properties to preserve them, not to punish anyone. But Uncle Gerald crossed a line. He didn't just claim ownership, he tried to give away my property without my knowledge. Uncle Gerald looked up, his face aged 10 years in 10 minutes. What happens now? Catherine opened her briefcase. Miss Caldwell is offering 2 options. Option 1. All family members who wish to continue using the properties sign formal rental agreements. Market rate, standard terms, proper documentation. And option 2? Blake asked. The properties are removed from family access entirely and rented to outside clients at full market rate. I looked around the room at my cousins, some embarrassed, some angry, all shocked. I'm not cruel. I'm not taking away family vacations. But I am clarifying who owns what. These are my properties. I saved them when Uncle Gerald lost them. If you want to continue enjoying them, you'll do so as renters, not as owners. Vanessa was crying now. I already told everyone I owned an Italian villa. Then you should have verified that before bragging, I said without sympathy. The security guard stepped forward as Catherine distributed actual rental agreements. These are available for review and signature. You have 2 weeks to decide. Uncle Gerald stood shakily. Riley, I'm sorry. I thought I was preserving family legacy. You were preserving your ego, I corrected. You couldn't admit you'd lost everything, so you pretended you still had the authority to give it away. But it was never yours to give. Marcus touched my arm. Can we talk? Privately. Outside the conference room he stared at me. $18 million? 7 properties across 5 continents? How did I not know? I don't broadcast my success, I said. I drive a Subaru because it's reliable. I work from home because I own 3 companies that allow remote management. I don't need to prove anything to anyone. But they treated you like you were nothing. I know. And that's why they're learning the truth now when it matters most. Inside, cousins were reading rental agreements with growing dismay. The Tuscany villa that Vanessa thought she owned? $4,500 monthly rent. The Malibu house Blake had claimed? $6,200 monthly. Market rates they couldn't afford on their inflated lifestyles. My phone buzzed. A text from Catherine. 3 families already declined. We'll have the properties listed on luxury rental sites by next week. I watched through the window as Uncle Gerald tried to explain to Aunt Patricia how he'd lost everything 5 years ago. As Vanessa realized her wine-tasting dreams were gone. As Blake calculated rental costs he couldn't sustain. Marcus looked at me. Are you okay? I'm fine, I said, and I meant it. For 5 years I protected this family from their own failure. I saved properties they didn't know were lost. And today, Uncle Gerald tried to give away my assets like they were his to distribute. What will you do with the properties? Rent them properly. Make them profitable. Maybe sell a few. I looked at my brother. But you, Marcus? You can still use them. Free of charge. Because you never assumed, never bragged, never dismissed me. He hugged me, something he rarely did. I'm sorry they treated you that way. Me too. But the paperwork doesn't lie. The deeds are in my name. The properties are mine. And Uncle Gerald's fake documents. Through the window I watched security confiscating the forged papers. They're evidence now. The family reunion ended 3 hours early. Most cousins left immediately, too humiliated to stay. Uncle Gerald sat alone in the corner, his authority dissolved, his reputation shattered. I stayed an extra day reviewing rental agreements with Catherine. 3 cousins signed, the ones who genuinely loved the properties and could afford fair rent. The rest declined. By the following week, my 7 vacation homes were listed on exclusive rental sites. Bookings came from executives, celebrities, people who understood luxury and paid accordingly. The Caldwell family properties became what they'd always actually been, my investment portfolio. And the family who dismissed me as someone barely established? They learned that establishment isn't about what you drive or where you work. It's about what you own. And I owned everything. 3 months later the rental income reports arrived. The Tuscany villa alone generated $28,000 monthly from a tech CEO. The Malibu house brought in $35,000 from a film producer. Singapore penthouse, Aspen cabin, French chateau. Each property now operating at full market rates. Total quarterly income, $387,000. I forwarded the report to Catherine with a note about reinvestment opportunities. She replied within an hour. Property in Barcelona available, oceanfront, excellent appreciation potential. My phone rang. Uncle Gerald's name appeared on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. He'd called 17 times since the reunion. Each message the same. Apologies, explanations, requests to work something out. I deleted them all without listening completely. Vanessa tried a different approach, showing up at my apartment unannounced. Riley, please. I made a mistake. Can we talk about the villa? Maybe a family discount on the rental rate. No, I said simply and closed the door. Blake sent a formal letter through his attorney, claiming Uncle Gerald had promised him the Malibu property and demanding I honor that promise. My legal team responded with copies of the forged documents and a gentle reminder that fraud carries consequences. His attorney never contacted us again. Marcus visited for dinner, bringing Thai food and genuine curiosity. How long have you been planning this? I wasn't planning anything, I said honestly. I bought the properties to save them. I let the family use them because I thought that's what family did. But when Uncle Gerald tried to literally give away my assets, distribute my property like it was his empire to divide, that's when I decided enough. The cousins are furious. The cousins are embarrassed, I corrected. They bragged about owning properties they never owned. They made plans based on lies. That's not my fault. He nodded slowly. Aunt Patricia says you've destroyed the family. Uncle Gerald destroyed his credibility. I just documented it. My email pinged. Catherine again, Barcelona property secured. Closing in 30 days. Your portfolio now includes 8 properties across 6 continents. Total value, $31.2 million. I smiled thinking about the Subaru in my parking space, the modest apartment the cousins had mocked, the tech consulting they'd dismissed as insignificant. Let them think what they wanted. The deeds told the truth. And truth I'd learned was the best asset of all. Outside my window the city lights sparkled. Somewhere in Tuscany, a CEO was enjoying my villa. In Malibu, a producer was hosting dinner parties in my beach house. In Singapore, executives were closing deals from my penthouse. My properties, my investments, my empire built quietly while they laughed. Uncle Gerald had wanted to distribute a legacy. He just distributed the wrong persons. And now he had nothing while I had everything. The irony was perfect. The paperwork was perfect. And my revenge? Profitable.